And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Mark Donovan's our guest. We're talking Boilermaker Road Race, which is a good thing because he's president of the Boilermaker Road Race. This will be his first year to be in charge of the race. And does that give you any nerves or not, Mark?
No.
No.
No. Again, watching the staff and the volunteers I've been exposed to so far, it's amazing what the confidence they have, and as you said in an earlier segment, that after 40 years,
yeah,
they know what they're doing.
The new guy comes in or a new gal comes in, and they want to get the event under their wings, so to speak, before they do anything drastic, which is what you said earlier. Mm-hmm. But have you got in the back of your mind some visions for this race, some place you'd like to see this race go, some things you'd like to do?
Well, there's a lot to the Boilermaker. It's more than a race. As much like the Ride for Missing Children is more than a ride, the Boilermaker organization is more than a race. Within the racing events, you can never rest on your laurels. What we do have between last year and this year, the two largest fields ever, which is a very comforting fact to have. But racing is changing, and a lot of towns that have their races, they're seeing declines. So you can't rest on our laurels here. But the race itself, being more than a race, it's bigger than that, as we just mentioned. It's that support that the runners get along the way, be it cheering crowds from different neighborhoods, be it entertainment, be it water stations. So engaging with them, the number one thing is engaging with them. Are we still meeting their expectations? Are we still exceeding their expectations in the racing piece of it? Are there other events that we should consider adding throughout the year that the next crop of runners and athletic and health and wellness minded people are looking to do? Does it make sense for us to get into that? Those are things to look at, but this is not, from a race perspective, a change management situation. It's running well, it's continuing to do well. We've not yet seen the effect of trends that other areas may have had, and I think that speaks to the experience. But I think you also know that there's a whole nother piece to the Boilermaker, that non-racing bent, which is activities, programs, events that are designed year-round to improve the health and wellness of the community at large. And those are things that Tim did a fantastic job building up before he retired, and those are the things that'll probably need more hands-on from my seat than Jim. Jim's one of the premier. Jim Stasitis is one of the premier race directors in the world. Jim doesn't need me to tell him what he needs to do there. So a lot of the focus will be what can we do to help the community.
Such as, I think Tim started a garden over there, and he was advocating for a grocery store in the west side and things like that.
Correct, correct. And there, the programs are in place now, and the Kids in Training program. In my couple of weeks here, I've already been out to the Frankfurt Schuyler School and the Kernan School, where we're getting kids in the grade schools out running, which then feeds them into the Boilermaker, which then feeds them into the Kids Run, which then feeds them into the 5K. It's a feeder system, in addition to bringing health and wellness into those areas.
Yeah. The one of the things that amazes me is where the race started. I mean, it was a big race from its first year. I mean, some races you start and they may have 100 people. This one was more than that, but still, compared to today, that first race all those years ago was very humble.
Incredibly humble beginnings. I think the numbers are around about 930 people. Earl and whoever Earl was working with, that came from, I think, 26 states for your first race, yeah, and Canada. And now those numbers, they've grown exponentially. Last year, we had runners from 45 states and 8 countries. And I think all told, over 300,000 people have participated from, I don't think it's every state, but very close. And I think it might be 45 countries to come to Utica.
The economic impact that the race has on our area is pretty significant as well. I mean, in terms of, we talked about the United Way and we talked about the giving part of it, but the economics of all these people coming into Utica is pretty dramatic.
Yes, the last numbers I saw were, I think 10 million was a number, and it was a few years back. So that's something I want to work with and figure out what that is. And it absolutely, whether it's the hotels, the restaurants, I mean, everyone is involved, and community spirit rises as well.
You know, the media too, and believe me, I'm not patting anybody on the back, but the media as a whole is a big component of the success of this race as well. Having those runners' names and finishing times in the paper, I think that has always been a really important part of the success of the race. I mean, you look around town the day after the race and there's people coming down those long lists of names looking for people that they know. The coverage that we put on, we're going to have our special again this year. Right. The radio stations, the other TV stations. I mean, it really is. I can't think of another event that gets that kind of support and coverage.
It's been fantastic, and I was one of those people you would see the day after, looking down through whether it was the kids' run results or the 5K and the 15K for people that I either worked with or neighbors or people, I have friends coming in from out of the area that would come up and do it, and that wasn't even me. The runners, they like seeing their names, but everyone else likes to check too.
Yeah. Before we're just about out of time, but any words to the participants, the volunteers, they're going to be taking part this year?
Words to the participants: please hydrate. You know, obviously if you're a competitive runner, you know how to do this. If you're a casual runner, read up on, you know, what not to do the day before, what to do the day of, and hydrate throughout. You're running for your own experience. Take care of yourself. We'll have the medical tent, but you don't want to end up in the medical tent.
That's right. Maybe you'd be good enough to come back after the race and tell us how your first race went.
Anytime.
Good. Thank you, Mark. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next week. We'll do it all again. Don't forget cnyhomepage.com. Lots of good stuff there. Until next time, take care of yourself, everybody.